Hi everyone, welcome back. In this video we're going to cover how to light Arnold renderings with HDRI images. HDRI images are high dynamic range images that have a lot of color and illumination information in the image itself, which means that you can play with the exposure to get really interesting lighting effects. And once you have it set up, you can drop in different HDRI images to dramatically change the mood of your scene. So we're going to show how to do this, and what we have on our scene currently is an Arnold Skydome light, and to this light we have in the color channel linked an Arnold physical sun and sky. So we're going to replace this with an HDRI. I could just, well, let's see, if you wanted to keep your Skydome light and put in an HDRI, you could first just break the connection here. Then my rendering goes black because I no longer have a light here. And then I could click this checkerboard, and this is going to bring up the Create Render Node dialog. We're going to want to go to, let's see, just the Maya nodes here, and I don't want to search for anything. And we just want to search for file. So we just need a Maya file. So where are you? Let's type file. Probably just file. There we go. And we could grab this file and map that into the channel. Let's say you didn't watch the previous video and Skydome light, what are we talking about? Let me just get rid of that. And now we have no lights in the scene. To first put a Skydome light in, we will go to lights here in the Arnold dropdown. Lights, Skydome light, get that in. It goes to this gray color, which starts casting light into our scene. And now we just want to change this color to the file. So again, make sure that you're in your Maya nodes or all nodes and set file. We're going to find file, and this maps a file node into our light channel for the Skydome light, and now we need to select an image. So I am going to use an HDRI image, this one. It's an interior, and if you want to follow along with this tutorial, you can, this is from a free pack that you can download from Gumroad, and if you go to the gumroad.com website, this is the MR HDRI free pack, and this has several nice interiors which you can use. So I am using one of the images from this pack. Let's go ahead and link that back up. So under image name, now that I'm in my file node here, I need to place that image. That is going to be the, in my case, it's this bathroom. Hit OK. And now this starts mapping into the image. Now, obviously, the background is probably not something we want to see. We can also change the light by, so if I select the Skydome light here and go to, we're here in the channel box, and then rotate this in Y. Let's see, this little slider here and start rotating this around. You can see that the image is changing, and it's also changing the light on my object in a nice way. Obviously, I don't want to see this background, so there are a couple of ways we can get rid of it. One is I have a backdrop prepared, and that's going to block it. We could also just stick a plane back there and kind of make sure that it's always between our camera and the HDRI. I'm noticing I need to make my backdrop a little bit bigger here, so I'm going to right click and go to, let's see, edge, and I want to select these edges here and then move them, and I want to move them in alignment with that edge. And so I need to go to my tool settings here, make sure the tools are up. Where are my tools? There are my tools, there. Pull up that's the modeling toolkit. Where are the tools? Tool settings. I'm not seeing my tools. That's very, very odd. Oh, you know what? It's probably because, well, let me pause the video while I find the tools. Okay, the tools settings were hiding behind my video recording software. So let's dock them, trying to dock them over here as part of this tab. All right, if that doesn't work, I'm not gonna mess with that right now. Let's go ahead and let's see, edit, pivot, let's see, world, component, custom, and I should be able to select that. Let's see, edit, pivot, world, component. There we go, component, and that's setting this to this. And now I could just draw, oops, shoot. I don't want that one, but I want all of these things. I guess I lost my selection when I was looking for the tools. There we go. So now I should be able to pull all of these edges up, and that is going to, maybe it's not the cleanest way to do it, but that's going to make my background larger, and I can go back to object mode and find a view that I like here. So go back to F, fit, and start framing this thing, and now I'm not seeing the top of the backdrop anymore. Maybe I also, W, want to bring that backdrop up a little bit so it's closer to the object. And I don't really like my shadow here at all for my sky dome light, so I'm just selecting that back and trying to move it around so I get a better shadow. So that seems pretty going in a good direction, but I need to change go to the channel box, and let's try like 90. That's not good. Negative 90. That's not great. Let's see, 180. That's pretty good. And let's start sliding that. So if I go that way, kind of like that shadow going in that direction. So that's looking pretty good. And now I can come to the sky dome light and change my exposure. And I need to be back to the attribute editor, and I can change the intensity of this HDR, something like 5 or maybe 3. You know, we can play with that, but now we're getting some decent results here. Still want to tweak where that sky dome light is positioned, so let's get that kind of moving around so we get a little more. Yeah, that's looking a lot better there. Okay, cool. So that's looking good, and so that's how you can link up the HDRI light. And now that I have that, I could also what I also want to show is how you could use Maya lights to supplement that. Especially because the shadows are pretty soft here, and we could then begin adding, of course if we're doing a studio setup, it's not like the sun, and so we wouldn't be weird if we had shadows going from multiple directions. So to set up another light in the scene, in the tab, the series of tabs here, we want to grab rendering. Let's grab a direct light, and we can't see it, so let's pull it out. And it's this directional light. His icon is now we can start to see it. It's kind of small, but nevertheless, if we focus on this, you can see that we have these light rays going in a certain direction. The nice thing about a directional light, it's a good one to start with because the position of the light doesn't matter, it's just the rotation of the light. It's kind of like a sun, a simulated sun, and it imagines a very distant light source that's very bright, so bright that the rays will be parallel, and then we can just change its rotation. So let me come up here and start rotating it, let's say that way, looking that way, and then we can rotate it, let's kind of rotate it with this blue handle to the view. And now we have it kind of coming in and going maybe almost like a 45-degree angle. So it's hard to see the effects of this because of the intensity of the HDRI light. So what we might do is now kind of switch what's doing the primary lighting in the scene. So the sky dome light, I'm going to take the intensity down to maybe like 0.5, so it's really low. You can see that we're now getting more shadows here. Let me take the directional light and take its intensity up to something like 5. And now you can see that it's providing much more light. We're getting this nice shadow here, and we can very easily change that with rotating the light. Okay, so now what we might do is come back to the sky dome light, and this is seeming a little flat, so we could bring the intensity up to something like 2, and now we have these lights working together in a nice way. And we can, we can continue to sort of see the effect of moving that shadow around. We could continue to see the effect of like moving the sky dome light around. So we can get like, that's pretty dramatic. And if we then changed again the color of the directional light or the intensity of it, bringing it up to like maybe 8 or something like that, we can get these very kind of nice shadows on things. Okay, cool. So let's look at that and see what else we can do. We could give this sky dome, or we could give this light a color, the directional light. So if you want to give it a little bit of a tint, you can give it whatever tint you want, and kind of you could have multiple lights with multiple colors. So just see how that works. Now that we have one directional light, we could pull out here. Control D is the tool to duplicate. I can see that my axis handle is kind of wonky here, so I need to come back to my tool settings, and I need to go back to the world for the pivot here and bring this over, rotate it. So now I have another directional light, so I'm trying to rotate that around another direction. The scene's getting a little bright. You see that I get 2 shadows here. Now let's change the color of this one to like a blue color. And now I want to start dialing the intensity down. So let's bring the intensity of this to 4. And then let's bring the intensity of the other one down to 4. Right? And now we start to have more interesting colors appearing on our object, because we're lighting this thing from 2 light sources, and each light source has a different color. These are really more harsh lights, but you could also play with, in this lighting, there's a spotlight where you get like fall offs, and you can probably the primary 2 that you would work with would be, we could also do an area light, so that's nice too. So you should experiment with these different lights and see what you get. But right now I just have these 2 different lights on, and then I could also try to make one of them the more dominant one. So this one could be maybe 2. Would make the illumination of the bluish one 2. And then this one is the brighter one, do 5. Like that, and then we can go back to our sky dome light and then continue tweaking the intensity of this thing, taking it like to 2, or what happens if we go to 4? No, we want it to be lower, so 1, something like that, or even what happens if we turn it off? So now we almost have enough light in our scene just with those 2 lights, and maybe we want the sky dome light contributing just a little bit to bring some depth of tone into our object. Now I'm seeing that my backdrop's not quite big enough, so hit WER, scale that out a little bit, and now I have that. So we have this going on, and now we have multiple lights on this object. Now I think that we've covered everything that we need to cover, except for giving things a different material. And right now, maybe we would want our background to be a little bit darker. So let me just do this the simple way by selecting our background, assign favorite material. I'll assign a Lambert to this. And let's make the color of this Lambert darker. So now that is going to be a darker background, and that is showcasing our object a little bit better. And then let's give some material differentiation between these 2 objects, and let's just make this one shiny. And here we can do an existing material, favorite material, and give it a blend color. and blend is much more reflective. And this blend, we can make it reflective. Color transparency, let's bring this, just make it brighter color, darker color. Blend is reflective, so let's go ahead and increase our reflectivity. So that is making it really dark. What if we make the color lighter? Yeah, so if we increase the reflectivity, it's getting really dark, so that's not helping us. So blend is not giving us a huge difference here. But in another video, I'm going to go over the hypershade. We're getting a little bit of difference here in our materials. So thanks for watching, and in the next video, I'll just go over the hypershade and how you can add custom materials.